On this month's World Sailing Show, Sail GP brewing up a storm down under. Rourke take a trip around the Caribbean, and the IQ foils stop off in Japan. No sooner had it finished hosting the IQ Foil Games season opener than Lanzarote was back in the headlines with the International Regatta. 360 sailors and 6 Olympic classes competing over 8 days of racing.
It's super nice to see all the Olympic classes training over here now, and we're here this week to practice a few new things that we're not good at.
For us, it's a really important event on the way to preparing for the next season. We have, I think, over 30 boats here in the 470, so it's a really good check on where we are in the international fleet now.
The first day of competition brought big winds and a rolling ocean swell. Austria's Keanu Pretner and Jakob Flashberger topped the 49er fleet, while Brazil's double Olympic champions Martin Grael and Kahena Kunz led the 49er FX competition. Day 2 turned out to be epic, but it wasn't so much about racing the competition as battling Mother Nature.
I think I saw 2 of the biggest waves in my career today. I mean, obviously Japan was pretty massive waves, but we had some pretty big moments, and well, we got through them, so that's all that matters. Thankfully, had a dry mast for all 3 races. I mean, it was definitely points of, almost going over, but today was just about keeping the stick in the sky most of the time, so we managed that well.
The British men matched their female teammates by taking the lead in the 49er competition, while the 470s were also battling the elements. Spain's Jordi Hamar and Nora Brugman ruling the waves with scores of 1, 2 and 2 from 3 races. Sahara dust and low visibility was the enemy on day 3, with just a solitary 470 race taking place. Israel's Nitai Hasson and Noah Lasri stormed into an early lead before it all went wrong.
We were leading almost the whole race. Just last downwind we hoisted the spinnaker and then it broke to 2 pieces. We still tried to stay in the lead, but in the end 2 boats overtake us, so we finished 3rd.
Visibility was still limited for day 4's medal races, but that didn't stop Jordi Hamar and Nora Brugman putting on a late surge to clinch gold in the 470 class, winning by a single point from Spanish teammates Silvia Mastepares and Nicolas Rodriguez. The Brits took a clean sweep in the 49ers, Freya Black and Saskia Tidy crossing the line 4th in the FX medal race to claim top spot, while 4th place for James Peters and Finn Sterrett in the men's event was good enough for another skiff gold.
It was not quite as big waves as we've seen the last 2 days, which made it a bit more saleable, but yeah, awesome fun, a bit shifty off the land. We had a bit of a lead on the boats behind us going in, and it was about kind of doing the right things and making sure that we hung on to it.
Next up, the foilers, and the sun was back out for the NACRA 17s and the men's and women's IQ fleets. The NACRAs excelled in the big rolling waves, with New Zealand's Mika Wilkinson and Erica Dawson winning 2 of the 3 races, as the rest of the field played catch-up.
It was really tricky waves and shifty, kind of dying pressure for us in the NACRA fleet, and it seemed like you always needed to be looking for the next thing to put your focus on and really staying active in the boat.
While Israel dominated the women's IQ foil competition, Britain's Sam Sills took the early lead in the sizable men's fleet.
Today was quite heavy, it was big waves but tricky winds. I was really pleased to get a 1 and a 2 in the quite big fleet that we had. It was somewhere between 70-80 people on the line, which was big. Yeah, great fun, and yeah, we're just really happy to be racing here in Lanzarote.
Day 6, and the weather was up to its old tricks again. Pilar Lamadrid put down the most consistent performance in the women's IQ foil fleet, but Israel's Shahar Tibi moved into 1st place overall.
Today was completely different from yesterday. Flat water-ish and shifty conditions. It was really interesting. There was a lot to play inside the course race. I really liked the conditions.
In the IQ foil men, Sills started the day well, but slipped back in the later races, just hanging on to the leader's yellow bib by the narrowest of margins. There was a new leader in the Nacre 17s, with the French team of Billy Besson and Noah Ancien moving to the top after 3 more races. So the final day of competition with 3 foiling golds up for grabs. The Israeli squad had dominated the women's IQ foil all week, so when tricky breeze on the racecourse meant the medal series couldn't go ahead, they took all 3 places on the podium, Shahar Tibi taking gold. It was a much more dramatic and eventful conclusion to the men's competition. Sam Sills had worn the leader's jersey from day one, but he misjudged his approach to the start of the final, and France's Adrien Mestre was fastest out of the gate and went on to claim gold.
So just took the gold from the final. It's an amazing feeling as we have this final format where the winner takes all. I can't even believe it, but it was that it was, and it's amazing to experience it.
And it proved a great day for the French all-round, as Billy Besson and Noah Ancien claimed gold in the Nacre 17 class, with Argentina and New Zealand taking silver and bronze.
We just managed to be good and to do our best to manage the boat, and don't think about the other team, just be aware of us and do our best.
It was supposed to be champagne Sydney Harbour sailing for the F50s at the latest round of Sail GP in Australia. It ended up resembling one of the more extreme legs of the current ocean race. The first heat set the tone for the weekend. Lining up to start in 50-knot winds, the fleet crossed the line and was soon embroiled in a series of tech issues, messy manoeuvres and near capsizes.
Look at the Swiss, they've tried to manoeuvre so late, they put the bow in the water, wow, close moment, the Canada must keep clear, drama at the bottom gate there, Emirates GBR slides through, they all avoid each other just, but Switzerland, wow, so close to a capsize, Emirates GBR has the right of way, wow.
That was just the start of the drama. After New Zealand were forced to retire with technical issues, disaster struck for Team GB as grinder Matt Gottrell fell off the boat near the finish line.
It was a pretty insane situation where we were in good shape in the race, and just that little bit of flick with the boat on the helm sent poor old Matt Gottrell Shrek flying through the front fairing, and then he was like a rag doll on the end of his tether. Thankfully he was okay, we managed to stop the boat, get him back on board.
With Gottrell on the boat and GBR back in 6th, it was left to France, USA and an Australian boat suffering from technical problems to fight it out for victory.
Oh my lord, the boat jumps out of the water!
And
Big
look at
moment.
the Americans on the inside!
Oh, it's a sprint now, but Australia, they're sailing with an arm tied behind their back at the moment, Todd. Unbelievable that they're managing to hang on here as France drive to the finish. Spithill drives to the finish. Who's going to get there first?
Neck and neck as they come to the finish line here in race number 1 in Sydney. And the win will go the way of the French. Quentin Delapierre pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
And he tried to pull out another one in race 2, once again going head-to-head with Jimmy Spithill and Team USA.
Now Jimmy must keep clear here on board the USA. Has to keep clear. Expect a protest from Delapierre. Jimmy matching his manoeuvre. Paul Campbell-James telling him when the board went down. USA react immediately. There's the yellow ley line. That should mean the French are well set for the next gate. Quentin aggressive there, sailing Jimmy off the course.
It is all about speed. Look at this. France absolutely flying through the course, and they are going to take it to the finish, make it 2 for 2 for Quentin Delapierre and France. Jimmy Spithill tucks him behind. He'll grab a second.
With 2 wins under his belt, Delapierre was looking for the hat-trick to round off day 1 in style.
Britain have the right of way here, Todd. France have got to judge this. It's so tight across. I think he's clear ahead. Wow, both boats scrape across in front of Great Britain. Could be 3 from 3 here, Todd.
Quentin Delapierre makes the turn around gate number 5, and the win will indeed go to the French as they make it 3 for 3 in Sydney.
That should have set up an amazing final day of the regatta. But immediately after racing had finished, the drama moved onshore as the severe weather brought chaos dockside with spectacular but frightening results.
We're just thankful that everyone is okay and there were no sort of severe injuries, and I think to escape that is a pretty good place to be.
Unfortunately, only boats and hardware were damaged, but the rest of the event was cancelled, with France awarded victory as the teams worked to pick up the pieces in time for the next round in New Zealand. Sailing's Global Women's Festival, Steering the Course, is busy gearing up for a third year with 2 events scheduled for May and October. As a curtain raiser to this year's events, Rio de Janeiro has just hosted Brazil's first ever all-female coaches course.
We have 15 coaches from all over Brazil that have come together as part of the Steering the Course programme for World Sailing, and it's just really making them realise that they can go and run more stuff where they live. The aim of the coaching course is to actually just develop them more in their coaching style, get them more technical, be able to deal with a larger range of athletes, from the children to the adults, and just help them improve and feel more confident with their coaching.
Under the watchful eye of World Sailing's Beck Ellis, the 15 coaches spent 5 days refining their coaching skills both on and off the water.
If you're happy, you happy? The big benefit I see just in the 2 days of this programme is actually to get many coaches together, and they can actually learn from each other and their experiences and what they do and their sailing experience and their coaching experience. For me, this is the main benefit, and then I'm here just to facilitate their learning.
So think now how to finish the session. How can you do some feedback?
Obviously would recommend this course because it systematizes some of the knowledge that we already know, but we can improve that skills and methods and improve our work and the results of our athletes.
I think it will help us grow and find more places where women can put themselves in coaching and training people. I think nowadays in Brazil there are really not many girl coaches, so I think it will give us a good help to put ourselves out there.
To create a pathway for female sailors in the sport is so important. It's really important to see other female coaches and actually help develop this so that it continues for the next generations to go on.
The 14th edition of the Rourke Caribbean 600 attracted a fleet of 70 boats with almost 600 sailors from 30 different countries.
Here we've got the sun, we've got the wind, and it's a very interesting course. It takes on so many islands, and of course the biggest hurdle to overcome is the massive wind hole around the back of Guadeloupe. So it's a very interesting course, it's quite scenic. We know we're going to have wind and an awful lot of boats and great competition.
Personally, I'm looking at sailing around all the islands that we have here because there's just the diversity in each island. It's going to make it kind of exciting, and I know I've been prepped by the team that have done the race many times that don't plan on getting much sleep in this race. You're up for the duration, and you'll be weary when you finish the race.
The route took the fleet from Antigua, north past St Kitts and Nevis, round Anguilla and back south past Montserrat, around Guadeloupe, before finishing in Antigua after 600 nautical miles. With the trade winds blowing and a swell kicking up, the 2023 race provided some spectacular sailing, with the Mod 70 Zulu and Multi 70 Maserati leading the way as they battled for multi-hull line honours. Giovanni Soldini's Maserati finished second last year, but had led the fleet home in Rourke's transatlantic race a few weeks earlier. But again, they came up just short, as after almost 31 hours of racing, Zulu pipped them to the line by 11 seconds, to the delight of skipper Eric Maris.
They sailed really well today, put a significant lead on to us, and then we managed to catch them up on the penultimate leg, and we managed to pass them the one that counts, on the line. That's fun.
Though they finished 14 hours later, on IRC corrected time, Alex Thompson aboard Tosca Gunboat won the multi-hull class. But the big prize went to the Volvo 70 High Wacket. Skipper Ben Mitchell took overall victory in this year's Caribbean 600, as well as the IRC Super Zero class, ahead of I Love Poland, which finished third overall. High Wacket 70 is the latest in a long line of US entries to win the race.
It's a 600-mile sprint
and our guys just did a beautiful job. There's not one person on the boat that didn't do more than their fair share, and it was just fantastic.
Completing the course in 2 days, 8 hours and 23 minutes was Teasing Machine, who took the honours in IRC 0 ahead of Callisto and Daguet 3 Corum. Eric de Turkheim also finished second overall, narrowly missing out on a hat-trick after victory in the Rolex Middle Sea Race and the Rourke Transat.
This year in particular, we had a fantastic 50 feet class in the IRC 0 with 4 highly competitive boats. We were in contact all the time, and we finished all within half an hour. So, that's what is exciting.
Heading the 13-strong Class 40 fleet were 2 Italian boats, with Alberto Bona's Ibsa finishing 15 minutes ahead of Allegrandi Pirelli.
I'm super happy because we did a great race, and the event was my first time, so I didn't know what to expect, but it was incredible.
Fabien Biron and Pim Neuvenhaus sailed a near-perfect race in the IRC double-handed class aboard Notre Méditerranée Ville de Nice. More than 24 hours ahead of their closest rivals, coming home in 2 days and 17 hours.
We set out for a race without too many mishaps, which we achieved, and to be first in class is obviously very satisfying.
Built in 1970, Dan Litchfield's Arga Nielsen 59 sloop Hound was the oldest boat in the race, and after a great final leg, they took IRC 1 honours ahead of Yagica and Pata Negra.
We got pushed really hard by the boats in our class, and somehow we pulled it out at the end, so I feel great.
The competition was fierce in IRC 2. The winner was In Theory, with owner Peter McWhinney skippering the JPK 1080 around the course in just under 3.5 days.
That was one of the real highlights of this race, was being in the mix with 3-4 other boats and match racing against them. We had a good benchmark. We knew if we were messing things up, we knew if we were doing things well, and so we tried to stay close, and it worked out.
There were just 3 non-finishers across the 70-strong fleet in what has become a modern Caribbean classic. Competitors are already looking forward to the 15th edition next February. Time to find out what else has been happening around the world of sailing. Ahead of the start of the longest leg in the event's history, Cape Town hosted the second import race of this year's ocean race. Having won the first 2 legs of the 32,000-mile event, Holcim PRB led the fleet to the first mark. Behind them, Biotherm became entangled with a marker buoy and were forced to retire. While 11th Hour Racing and Malizia battled it out for second and third, both boats and Geo Environment could only watch as Holcim PRB sailed home to claim another victory. While the ocean race fleet was getting ready for the longest leg of the race to Brazil, German boat builders Green Boats were also in Cape Town to receive the 11th Hour Racing Sustainability Award that they'd won at last year's World Sailing Awards. In a ceremony at the Ocean Race Village, the company's founder, Friedrich Diemen, received the trophy from the Sail Africa Youth Development Foundation, winners of the 2021 award. The second stop on this year's IQ Foil World Series saw 19 riders from Asia competing over 4 days of competition at Miyakojima Island, Japan. In a close-run men's final, home foiler Tony Anami, who'd been leading the competition all week, beat compatriots Gagushi Takeda and Daya Kuramochi to take home gold. And Japan made it a clean sweep of medals at the event, with another 1, 2, 3 in the women's winner-takes-all final. This time, only centimetres separated the foilers at the finish line, with the race committee finally awarding gold to Fujiko Onishi ahead of Megumi Kobine and Yuki Tsunaga. Finally, Muscat's Al Mouj Marina played host to the 44 Cup Oman, with 9 RC44s taking part in the 4-day competition. The fleet, representing teams from as far away as Sweden, Great Britain and France, sailed 12 races with 20-knot winds and choppy seas dominating the early part of the regatta. Going into the final day, Nico Poon's Monaco-flagged Charisma held a 7-point lead over Igor Lars' Team Siref, but the Slovak boats turned the tables to clinch the cup by a mere 2 points. We wrap up the action today with a trip to Salinas del Rey, Colombia, for the second event on this year's GKA World Tour. The freestyle-only event was being held outside the small fishing village of Santa Veronica on the Caribbean coast, where the weather was warm, the water was flat, and the waves were there to entertain both the riders and a very vocal local crowd. Sweden's Natalie Lambrecht had finished third at the opening event of the season in Qatar, and she made it 2 podiums in a row by repeating the bronze in Colombia. But it was 18-year-old Nicolai Sol who took top honours to follow up her second place at the tour's last outing. Chasing a 7th world title, the Brazilian rider laid down a series of spectacular tricks, including a huge slim chance 5 with a melon grab.
I'm so stoked to be back on top, honestly. Conditions are really tough, but I managed to pull through, and yeah, I took the win here. And definitely feeling a little, I don't know, like a redemption almost from Qatar, getting second to getting first here. It definitely does feel really nice being back on top. So yeah, I'm gonna try to continue doing this for the rest of the year, and yeah, just super stoked.
In the men's competition, Gian Maria Coccoluto was looking to make it 2 victories in a row. Despite wowing the crowd with his smooth style and height, some late falls meant that the Italian rider could only manage a 3rd place in Salinas del Rey. With Switzerland's Maxime Chablos edging out Coccoluto for 2nd place, it was left to Brazil's Carlos Murillo to strike gold in Colombia. The 25-year-old had finished 2nd in the season opener, but he was hungry for more, and the 4-time back-to-back world champion threw down some of the most technically ambitious tricks of the event. That earned him the highest score of the finals, which was topped off with a cleanly executed Hinterberger frontside 900. That's it for now, but next time, the Sailing World Cup is back in Palma. And the ocean race fleet tackles the longest leg in the race's history.